Hello, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Python's list comprehension syntax. So basically, Python has this special one-liner syntax that lets you generate a list with specific values in them. So for instance, let's say you wanted to generate this list in Python. The way you would normally do it is you create a variable and then you assign that to an empty list. And then you use a for loop, right? So we want from 1 to 6. So we'll say for I in range 1 to 7, because it's exclusive. So it starts at 1 and stops at 7. And then we'll say result.append I. And then afterwards, we can just print our result. So let's do that. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But in Python, we can actually shorten this. We can condense this and put this syntax inside our list brackets. So the way we would do that is we would have a specific value, and then we'll say value for x in iterable. So an iterable refers to any iterable collection. So it could be a string, list, dictionary, tuple, set, or a range. So the way we would do this is we would have a value. In this case, our value is basically I. So I for I in range 1 to 7. And then after that, we can just get rid of this. And then we print our result. And we get 1 to 6. So that's list comprehension. So let's look at the second problem. What we have here is it's similar to the first one, except we have the squares of 1 to 6, right? We have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. So the way you would normally do it is you have result. And then for I in range 1 to 7, result.append I times I. And then afterwards, you print the result. So let's do that. And we get 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Now let's put this into our list bracket to create our list comprehension syntax. So it would be I times I for I in range 1, 7. So you see what you're appending is actually what goes here, and then you put your for loop over here. So let's get rid of this and then run our code. We get the same thing, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. All right, what about our next one? We're given a list this time, and we get -1, 10, -5, -2, 3, and -4. And what we want for our result is what appears to be the absolute value of every element in this list, right? So we can just say result. Actually, let me put it underneath. Result. And then we'll say for I. In this case, we can say for I in range length of the list, or we can just make it simpler and say for element in the list. And then we'll say result.append the absolute value of element. And then let's print our result. And we get 1, 10, 5, 2, 3, 4, which is what we wanted. And again, how do we make this a list comprehension syntax? You just take this part from the append, place it here, right? And then you just take your for loop and place it here. And then you get rid of this, save, and then you run the code again. You get the same thing, 1, 10, 5, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and our next one, we see we have a list of -1, 10, -5, -2, 3, and -4. So it's the same as before. It's the same list. But this time, what we want is what appears to be all the negative numbers in this list. So in Python's list comprehension, we have an option to place a condition. Okay, so this condition would be placed after our for loop syntax inside our list comprehension. So normally, if we were to create this with just a for loop and conditional statement, we would just, again, create an empty list and say for element in list, and then check to see if the number is negative. If element is less than 0, result.append element. And then we will print our result. and now run our code, and we get -1, -5, -2, and -4. So the way we would condense this into our list comprehension syntax is you take this elem, right? So you say elem, then you put in the for loop. So for elem in list, and then your conditional statement, if elem less than 0. So it's this right here inside the append, then you take this, and then you take this conditional statement. And then we take this out, delete it, and then we run our code, and we get what we wanted, -1, -5, -2, -4. If you reverse this actually, then you get all the positive numbers, right? So you get 10 and 3. So let's run it, and we get 10 and 3. Okay, and then number 5, we have, instead of returning a list, we're using our comprehension syntax to return a value. So what is this value? Well, it's the sum of all the positive numbers in this list, right? Because all the positive numbers in the list are 10 and 3. So in Python, you would just do result equals 0. And then for elem in list, if elem is greater than 0, result plus equal elem, and then you print elem, print result, sorry. So if we were to do that, run our code, we get 13. So how do we condense this? Well, there is a function, right? There's a sum function where if you pass in a list into the sum function, it sums up all the values in that list. So we would print sum, and then in here we generate our list. So we take elem, and then for elem in list, only if, right, before we generated our list with 10 and 3. So the way we do that is if elem is less than greater than 0. So it was this, but we just flipped this to greater than. So you take the sum of the list, where the list is elem for elem in list, which is this list, only if that element is greater than 0. So we deleted this, and then run our code, we get 13. Okay, and actually we can omit the list comprehension. We can omit the list brackets because we don't really need to generate the list. We just need to generate this comprehension syntax, so we can get rid of the list bracket and it will still work. So when we do that, and we get 13. And then finally, we have 1, 4, 5, 8, 10, and we have our result is 2, 3, 6, 7, 9. So what could this be? This is basically all the elements from 1 to 10 that are not in this list. So let's create our list, and then we'll say for elem in list, or actually for I in range 10, if I not in list, then result.append I. And then let's print our result. And then we get 0, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9. Actually, this should be 1 to 10. So let's do that. And we get 2, 3, 6, 7, 9. Now let's condense this into our list comprehension syntax. So we'll take result is equal to I for I in range 1 to 10 if I not in list. Okay, so remember, you take whatever you're appending, then you add your for loop syntax, and then your conditional syntax. So let's get rid of this. Let's move this down here. And then let's run our code. We get 2, 3, 6, 7, 9. Okay, so that's list comprehension syntax.